What if I told you that a single decision by a president could tilt the balance of global trade forever? As America braced for impact, President Donald Trump declared a staggering 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico. Yet, as everyone fixated on North America, Trump silently aimed a new financial missile at China, announcing a 10% tariff on their products set to activate on February 1, 2025. Applause or outrage, no one was prepared for the seismic shifts this would unleash. Welcome to a new chapter in the contentious saga of U.S.-China relations. With this bold maneuver, Trump has reignited trade tensions, forcing the world to ask, why the renewed aggression towards China? How will Beijing respond to yet another poke at its economic prowess? As we untangle these vital questions, remember, February 1, 2025, is positioned to become a crucial date in the timeline of our world's economy. In a swift and calculated reaction, China isn't just taking an economic hit, it's gearing up for a counteroffensive. Known for its dominance in electric vehicles and raw materials, Beijing wasted no time in ramping up tariffs on American imports to staggering heights, up to 75%. With this retaliatory strike, the battleground shifts from mere tariffs to a full-blown trade war. It raises one burning question: are we witnessing the onset of an irreversible split between the world's two economic giants? As the air crackles with tension, Trump's fervent declarations echo, "I am the chosen one. We are winning." But China, resilient and strategic, is poised to cripple the lifeblood of American manufacturing. This isn't merely about trade, it's a fight for technological supremacy, centered around automotive production and precious minerals. And how did we get here? Trump has wielded tariffs like a sword since assuming office, confidently proclaiming, if we can't make a deal, the tariffs will be substantial. So, what's at stake in this volatile clash? The electric vehicle industry stands at the forefront, symbolizing technological advancement and environmental revolution. As American companies like Tesla position themselves for a greener future, they find their foundations shaken by these new tariffs. If electric car batteries, tethered to Chinese resources, skyrocket in cost, who bears the burden? But there's more to this story. China has formulated additional tariffs targeting high-tech exports and essential minerals, sending a clear message: underestimate us at your peril. With every tick of the clock, the stakes rise, bringing with it the specter of inflation and supply chain chaos. In the end, will either side emerge victorious from this economic duel? As the air grows heavier with uncertainty, cities across the globe hold their breath. The balance of power hangs precariously on a knife's edge. Will dialogue mend the widening rift, or will retaliatory measures push the world closer to a recession? This ongoing saga drips with tension, watching two titans clash in their quest for dominance. How it unfolds could reshape not just two nations, but the global economy itself. The battle lines are drawn, and the world waits with bated breath for what comes next. The intense battle between the world's two biggest economies has escalated into uncharted territory. After years of tit-for-tat tariff skirmishes, the conflict now zeroes in on vital industrial sectors: electric vehicles, batteries, semiconductors, and rare earth materials that power everything from smartphones to wind turbines. With China holding a near monopoly on many of these resources, the stakes have never been higher. Are we witnessing the start of a permanent rupture with no turning back? On the American side, Donald Trump has wielded tariffs like weapons since he took office. His blunt message: if a deal with China doesn't happen, tariffs will be huge. Proudly declaring himself the chosen one, Trump promised to take on China and win. His aggressive new tariffs, levied not only on Canada and Mexico but also on China, sent shockwaves that rattled global markets. At first, Beijing answered calmly, urging patience. But that patience ran thin when China slammed the U.S. with staggering 75% retaliatory tariffs, a rarity that sends tremors through the world's trade history. Such drastic measures signal an economic war heating up, forcing Washington into frantic damage control and strategy revamps. Why the focus on electric vehicles? Because these cars embody the future of industry and technology. The U.S. has poured support into brands like Tesla, nurturing an electric revolution at home while simultaneously tightening restrictions to muzzle Chinese competition. Meanwhile, China has already claimed dominance over the lithium-ion battery market. It's not just about production volume. Giants like BYD and NIO are scaling massive operations on home soil and eyeing global dominance. In response to U.S. tariffs targeting electric vehicles, batteries, and critical minerals, China's countermove hits American automakers where it hurts most. Their carefully crafted retaliation aims to strangle the lifelines of U.S. industry. But this fight isn't limited to vehicles. China is threatening further tariffs on essential raw materials, semiconductor components, and high-tech supplies, pillars of modern manufacturing and innovation. Imagine the sound of factories grinding to a halt, supply chains scrambling, and prices climbing relentlessly. For American companies, the cost of sourcing batteries or components could skyrocket overnight, casting a shadow over ambitions to accelerate green technologies. Tesla and Ford rely heavily on Chinese battery materials. If these supply lines dry up, can they adapt quickly enough? Relocating production to countries like India or Vietnam is easier said than done. The ticking clock grows louder with every tariff announcement. China's tough stance sends a message loud and clear: don't underestimate us. By wielding tariffs this severe, Beijing is telling the world it holds critical control over rare earth minerals and strategic materials. These commodities are the backbone of countless industries, from electric vehicles to tech gadgets. Restrict them, and entire sectors may gasp for air. The economic shockwaves ripple beyond the factories and assembly lines. Higher tariffs mean higher prices for consumers. Inflation concerns multiply as the cost of imported parts feeds into every product on American shelves. The electric car market, a symbol of hope for cleaner futures, faces a costly backlash that may slow down progress. Could this brewing storm trigger shortages, delays, and a sharp rise in electric vehicle prices? What happens if the world's largest economies refuse to bend? Neither side appears willing to retreat. The power struggle threatens to inflict damage that extends far beyond trade statistics, putting global economic stability at risk. Trade wars usually begin with threats and tit-for-tat measures, often ending with negotiations and compromises. In 2019, a Phase 1 deal offered a glimmer of hope. Now, the ambitions are even fiercer. The U.S. seeks to reshape supply chains to favor trusted partners, sidelining China. China, meanwhile, doubles down on domestic innovation, from autonomous vehicles to semiconductors, vowing independence. So, what's next? Will these titanic rivals find a middle ground, or is an unprecedented fracture inevitable? The looming question remains: can global stability survive the storm brewing between these economic giants? The coming months will reveal whether dialogue can prevent this raging conflict from spiraling beyond control. Let's recap. American carmakers have been cornered by China's fierce retaliation, which doesn't stop at electric vehicles. Beijing has threatened higher tariffs on raw materials, semiconductors, and rare earth elements, vital components that fuel a huge range of high-tech industries worldwide. These rare minerals power everything from smartphones buzzing in your pocket to massive wind turbines spinning in the breeze. Here's the cold truth: China controls a near monopoly over these critical resources. By slapping hefty tariffs back at the U.S., it aims to strangle American tech giants, leaving them gasping for supply. This move sends a sharp, unambiguous warning: don't underestimate China's resolve. On the American side, alarm bells are ringing. This unexpected shockwave threatens to push inflation even higher. Why? Because countless consumer goods, some only halfway finished, are sourced from China. As import costs soar, production expenses climb alongside. And that hike won't stay hidden. Expect to see it reflected in the price tags right in front of you, especially in the electric car market, where battery prices have already sparked heated debate. Automakers, from electric pioneer Tesla to giants like Ford, are deeply anxious. Many count on Chinese batteries or essential materials to power their vehicles. Now, their supply lines hang in uncertainty. Could they quickly reroute production to countries like India or Vietnam? Possibly, but shifting complex supply chains is like turning a giant oil tanker. It takes time, effort, and money. Electric vehicles stand at the heart of this battle, symbolizing not only groundbreaking technology but also the green future. For years, China developed and dominated its domestic EV market. Now, it has opened export doors and risen as a global force. But the US refuses to let such a critical sector fall into Beijing's hands. That's why Washington has slammed the trade doors shut. Beijing fires back: if you strike our companies, batteries, or rare elements, we will raise tariffs on your goods by a staggering 75%. Imagine that, the backbone of the electric vehicle battery supply chain caught in an economic vice that tightens every day. What does this mean for us? Rising prices for electric vehicles, possible shortages, and frantic scrambling by manufacturers to find new battery sources. While the US braces for a blow to its tech ambitions, China faces the risk of losing export revenues and market share. But with both giants claiming victory, could this fierce clash end in no winner? History warns us, trade wars typically fuel rising prices, declining sales, stalled growth, and harsh consequences for everyday people. The stakes go beyond economics. Global uncertainty is already thick, between geopolitical tensions in Eastern Europe, Europe's energy struggles, and shifting alliances in the Middle East. If this mega trade conflict explodes, the risk of pushing the world toward recession becomes very real. Will cooler heads prevail? Or are we heading toward a dangerous new chapter in global rivalry where no one backs down, and the stakes keep escalating? The answers remain hidden in a storm of tariffs, threats, and unanswered questions. Only time will tell how deep this trade abyss will run. The global stage is trembling under the weight of a gripping economic saga. In a shocking turn, President Donald Trump has unleashed monumental tariffs against China that may forever alter the landscape of international trade. With a staggering 10% levy on Chinese goods set to roll out on February 1, 2025, the drama escalates. What ignited this fierce stance? How will China retaliate? The stakes couldn't be higher as two colossal economies clash, straining the thread of global commerce. But just how far will they go? Let's delve deeper into this brewing storm. In recent years, electric vehicles have emerged as a beacon of innovation and sustainability in the US, while China has assumed command of the electric vehicle battery market. As the tension thickens, a pivotal question arises: how will this trade conflict affect prices and availability of electric vehicles in America? The specter of rising costs looms large, with consumers bracing for impact. But that's just the beginning. We must consider the ripple effects. Will American manufacturers scramble to adjust their supply chains, and how will they navigate the labyrinth of uncertainty? As prices surge, will consumer confidence wane? The atmosphere is charged with apprehension as citizens ponder the consequences of this clash. Can anyone truly emerge victorious from this war? Then, there's the geopolitical backdrop. With existing tensions from global crises, such as the conflict between Russia and Ukraine and Europe's energy struggles, will this trade confrontation push the world toward recession? As the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank plead for reduced barriers, Trump's staunch resolve remains. Will his commitment to protect American interests lead to a bleak economic downturn? As for the tariffs, speculation swirls like a tempest. Could we see a rise to an astounding 20% or even 60%? Uncertainty reigns. The future is a hazy fog, laden with potential turmoil. And while experts warn of long-term repercussions for the U.S. economy, Trump's camp believes in a path to triumph, regardless of immediate fallout. Yet, can any compromise be found, or are we heading toward an inevitable escalation of hostilities? This narrative unfolds with the potential for startling twists. As both sides dig in their heels, will past agreements fade into obscurity? A new phase is dawning, one of ambition and defiance. In this high-stakes game of chicken, who will blink first? The electric vehicle sector could either soar towards innovation or plummet into chaos. Every decision ripples through markets, amplifying fears of inflation and stalling growth. As we brace for what lies ahead, the question remains, will there be a pathway back to dialogue, or will this confrontation deepen, ensnaring us all in its net? The engines of commerce roar ominously, revealing just how fragile our global economy truly is. Keep your eyes peeled, this explosive story is far from over. The trade tensions between the United States and China have taken an alarming turn, creating a complex web of retaliations and economic distress. Recently, speculation has intensified around a staggering 75% retaliatory tariff from China. But what will this truly cover, and when will it be enforced? Some experts contend it might mainly affect technology products, particularly electric vehicles and batteries, while others warn that nearly all imports could be under the gun. As negotiations teeter at the edge of collapse, the specter of a massive trade showdown looms ominously. In 2019, the two nations managed a temporary agreement known as the Phase 1 deal. However, both sides now appear more resolute and ambitious. The United States is pushing hard to sever its supply links with China, while China confidently asserts its aim to achieve technological independence in essential areas like artificial intelligence and autonomous vehicles. The stakes have never been higher. As China's response to tariffs leads to a boiling trade cauldron, the effects ripple across diverse sectors, from automotive to agriculture. Both leaders seem unwilling to compromise, propelling the world toward escalating inflation, increased production costs, and sluggish global growth. The consequences will not only be felt in the economic realm but could also create geopolitical complications on a grand scale. And while whispers of backdoor negotiations flutter through the corridors of power, the bigger question looms: can diplomacy triumph over sheer economic might? As the clouds gather, only time will reveal if the world's two largest economies can avoid sinking into a deeper conflict that threatens to destabilize global markets. What if this clash isn't just about trade, but about the very future of technological dominance worldwide? As tariffs soar and allegiances shift, one shocking twist could change the entire game. Would you be ready for an economic earthquake that might redefine who leads in the technology and energy sectors? In a world where every decision can trigger a crisis, the question is, who will truly come out on top?